Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp with the Los Angeles Times. Mad Men just finished the first half of its final season, and joining us today from the show, John Slattery here in our studio and at John and Talia's home in New York, Talia Balsam.
Hi,
Welcome.
Talia.
Hello.
So we're doing a little bit, we're reuniting you guys.
Thank you.
You
don't have, there doesn't have to be tears.
no tears. We've seen each other rather recently too, so it's not.
Yeah, it hasn't been
a great
that long.
reunion. I mean, it's a great reunion. Honey, it's good to see you.
I'm crying inside.
You're crying.
Now, John, you're here to film the last. You filmed 6 of the
We
final
filmed 6
7
of the last
episodes.
7, and we're filming number 7 currently.
Currently.
Well, not currently because I'm here with you, but
Yeah.
yes, currently. So the last of the final 7 episodes are mostly finished, and we're shooting the last one now.
So have you had the table read for?
Had the table read Friday.
Okay. And what was
Yeah,
that like?
That was emotional. Yeah, I mean, there were some sniffles and teary eyes around the room.
Yeah.
An emotional speech, you know. I mean, I think it's still until it's finished. I don't even probably after it's finished. It won't probably sink in for a while. But yes, it's emotional. It's been a lot. We've been all doing this for a long time now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you have been doing it for a long time, and it seems like for the past 2 or so years, everyone asks about, what's it going to be like when it's over, or
Yeah.
what's that going to be like,
happen?
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's it going to end?
Mhm.
And now you're right in the middle of doing it, so
Mhm.
at least you don't have to answer those questions anymore, right? Soon it will be that aspect of it.
That aspect, that actually is a good point, because it's been an exercise in not saying anything to the media for the most part, because they want to know what's happened or what's going. I mean, what you've shot or what's going to happen, and you obviously can't tell anybody. So it gets a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah. Well, Talia, you and John had some great stuff together in the first half of this season. And the last episode 7, kind of ended, well, there's a beautiful moment. Everybody, you see everybody watching the moon landing, the Apollo 11 moon landing, and there is Roger with his ex-wife, Mona, grandson on his lap, poor Brooks there over in the corner.
Poor Brooks.
Poor Brooks. And it seemed, a real contentment with you guys. It seemed like you guys had really, a nice moment.
Yeah.
Between Roger and Mona.
I like Roger and Mona together. What do you think?
I do too, and I thought that was really nice. That was lovely. I mean, I've always liked them together, in all ways, But it's nice since they're divorced. I like them a lot more together.
Right, that happens.
I mean, like there's a lot of interaction there with them after their marriage has ended that I thought was good.
So you're saying you think they work better together divorced than they do as a couple?
I think I think they became sort of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they probably. I always thought that there was a very funny interaction between Mona and Roger. That I've told the story before. There was a scene early on in the first episode after we shot the pilot. In the first episode, we had dinner with Don and Betty, Mona and Roger, and then they go their separate ways. And there's a scene in the car with with Don and Betty, sort of debriefing, talking about the dinner. And there was a parallel scene with Roger and Mona, but we never shot it because we didn't have time. And it was a very funny scene, the two of them talking about Don and Betty and how attractive, ridiculously, like, did we see them on the top of our wedding cake? That they're just sort of so attractive. And just a funny interaction between the two that was never shot. And I was sorry it wasn't, because it's a funny dynamic between the two, and I think it's better. It's continued to be that after they're divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the wedding, do I call her Margaret or Marigold now? I'm not sure.
I guess she's
what
Marigold
does she prefer?
Your best choice.
at Margaret's wedding, Roger called Mona Lioness. I mean, very much, yeah, real affection, respect and affection. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the couples on the show, I think Don and Betty and Joan and Roger. I mean, I think just because they can't necessarily find a way to be together on a daily basis doesn't mean they don't have any lack of affection or respect for one another.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting because in that scene I was talking about, watching the Apollo 11 landing, Roger was wearing plaid, and Mona was wearing sort of I don't know. I'm a guy, I don't know how to describe these things, but it was kind of a print, a plaid-ish kind of thing. And that led to a lot of speculation. There was sort of a unity between the two characters, leading to maybe a speculation that there could be a reconciliation in the future, in the cards.
Who knows?
Who knows, yeah. But what bums me out, as you know, is that you're there and he's here. So obviously we're not seeing you in episode 7, unless this is all part of like a Matthew Weiner fake out here, and that you're really in LA.
That's not to say that she hasn't already been here and done her duty and left.
True.
You know, which happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
In the past few years, I have flown in, flown out very quickly. You know.
Yeah.
And back home. So
sometimes the same day, haven't you? I mean, you've flown in, shot a scene, and actually flown back the same night.
Well, yeah. No, but then you have to do wardrobe fitting. So.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe 2 days. Yeah.
That's right.
I'm a girl. There's a lot more that goes on for me.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, you mentioned Margaret Marigold. I love the episode. It was titled The Monolith. It was the 4th episode. It's where Roger and Mona go out to the farm where Marigold their daughter now is. And when you talk about wardrobe fittings, Mona's outfit going out to the farm was just, it was spectacular.
Well, you always wear fur to the farm, right? And I just loved it. I mean, when I read it, I thought that was great, but to see it and to see that sort of, desert or that farm, and then to see them, it just looked so, in other worlds, and it was perfect visually, I thought.
I did too. I thought they looked like exotic birds.
So
Mona and Roger in that car pulling up into that place. It looked like, two animals out of the zoo.
Yeah, you had this beautiful 3-piece blue suit on, yellow tie, I think. It was just,
Mona in fur and a hat, and
Yeah, I mean, and then the counterculture. I mean, it was very, very, pronounced, the differences, and I thought that was great. It was a great, visual.
What I loved about that is Mona, before she gets out the car to meet, the filthiest hippies, we've seen in a long time. Yeah, this isn't like some idealized view of the counterculture. These people haven't taken a bath in weeks. Mm-hmm. And she looks up and checks her makeup. She's wearing the fur coat, and she wants to get the makeup right before she steps out onto this dirt path to greet the unwashed.
Well, that was Matt. I mean, that was in there. I mean, it was written, it was perfect, and it made absolute character sense, and I thought it was great.
Don't I ask you what you're doing? You start putting on makeup, like, what are you doing? I mean, I think Roger asks her, like, what the hell are you, like, what she's up to while, waiting for her to get out of the car.
Yeah, well, she is a lady, so, always. That's another.
And Mona didn't hang around very long, but Roger sort of, he certainly has dipped his toe into this world we've seen in the past couple of seasons. So he felt pretty comfortable there, right?
Yeah, I think for a little while. I think he feels like, as soon as Mona, takes off, he asks to be shown around and I think he sees the potential in the sort of in that idealistic existence. But as he says earlier, you know, there's a hierarchy everywhere, and he's, you know, he's cynical and skeptical. And I think then when she takes off with someone in the middle of the night, that sours the experience for him, and then the next day he's trying to appeal to her sense of motherhood, and she kind of turns the tables on him and says, you know, what kind of example did you provide,
right,
as a father? So not only is he responsible for her as a mother, but he's also responsible for another generation of you know, the grandson having no mother to speak of. So
yeah, that's a real slap in the face,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was very. It was kind of fun, you know, to see him in that setting, sleeves rolled up and kind of. But yeah, once he saw his daughter sort of being passed around, and then the next morning there was that confrontation, and yeah, you have a son.
Yeah.
But what example has Roger been as a father? Not very good.
No, not very good. And I think Mona gets it sooner than Roger does. I think there's the combination of Roger. Well, there's Peanut.
Yeah.
Hi, Peanut. I think Mona gets it sooner than Roger does. I think that the combination of, like, you know, of him seeing that potential in you know, hanging around. I think Mona realizes that Margaret isn't going to be coming home with us, isn't going to be, you can't be really reasoned with, and she takes off. I think probably wisely.
Yeah. I hear you and I were talking, and then there's a new guest for our chat here.
Peanut. I hope he's welcome. He likes to stay on my lap, so
yeah.
Put him here. There he is. He's gone for the moment.
There was, and then the final episode that we've seen, Roger. I think it was a real favorite among fans to see Roger kind of step up and show his vision, like, you know, really become a leader. Do you think Bert thought he had that in him? Was Bert challenging him a little bit, or was Bert just kind of telling it like it is in their final scene together?
I don't know. You know, Bert has always been pretty inscrutable as far as what you know what you'll get out of him is rarely what you expect. There was an episode somewhere in the middle where Pete goes to Bert and says, Don Draper's not who you think he is. He's, you know, and he lays it out for him. And Bert's reaction is, who cares? He is whoever is standing in this room, that's who he is. He's gotten to this point. So I don't know whether Bert was trying to inspire Roger by telling him he was not a leader of men. I don't necessarily see Bert handing over the keys to the kingdom to Jim Cutler,
right?
Harry Hamlin's character. But I don't know. I agree. I think it's always good to see these characters do unexpected things, and I think that's what makes them so interesting. Just when you think someone is one thing, you know, or past their prime, like maybe Roger appears to be, he steps up, orchestrates a deal that actually makes sense to everyone, and makes it, you know, figures it all out and makes it work.
He's often done that, kind of when push comes to shove. He has, you know, he still has the move, one great move in him.
He has. He shows Jared's character, Lane Price, at one point, how to close a deal, how to work a business dinner, and I think it was great writing. You know, again, just when you think he's sort of been displaced and outmoded, he finds a way to be relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, going back to Mona, we had one reader wondering, is Mona ever dating anybody? We see Roger with ex-wives, women. What about Mona's dating life?
Mona, well, I think at the wedding, Mona has, John, do you remember that character's name?
No.
That she sort of Bert, remember? And
Bert.
She brings a date with her to the wedding. Was it Bert?
I think it was Bert, and I refer to him as an old saddlebag.
Yes, and
then,
so that she's, but that she never.
Oh, Talia, you frozen.
Married that.
We're missing
Okay.
Bert.
Oh, there you are. Now you're back. You never married that guy.
I never married that guy, but he was at the daughter's wedding, and there was sort of I don't know if Roger was, we had a conversation about that, but I do believe that Mona dates.
You also brought him to my mother's funeral.
Oh, that's right, and I brought him.
Mistaken.
Yes, and I think she does that to anger Roger.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there was no real good reason for her to, bring him there.
What do you think Mona would do? How would she react if she knew about Kevin's paternity?
Kevin's. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Me being Kevin's father. Yeah. The son with Joan. I don't think she's real.
I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not hearing very well. I don't know if that is something that she could actually, put into the the brain, whether she would ever go there or not.
Right.
Actually.
I'm guessing
I think that's how she deals,
You mean just deny, pretend it doesn't exist?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know there would be any way for her to know or whatever, but I think that would be, I don't know that would be a way of coping,
That's certainly how they stayed married for as long as they did. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
What about Roger's loyalty to Don this season? It was, and going back to that final episode, I mean, I always loved the Roger Don moments. The when he gets back from the Burger Chef presentation, Roger's out in the hallway waiting for him. There's always been a great connection between the characters, but they've also had their disagreements, their moments, their battles. But this season, for all the people who considered Don just completely toxic and wanting to get rid of him, Roger was the one who kind of stood by him.
I was happy to see that too. I think, I love those scenes. Working with John in those scenes has always been one of my favorite parts of the show. But I also was glad to see that he had, again, they all have their certain loyalties and code of ethics, and they might not be everyone else's, and they might not be sort of right down the straight and narrow, but I think he's always respected Don's intelligence and his creativity. I mean, he says he's a genius. We wouldn't be in the position for Roger to close that deal if it weren't for Don Draper. I mean, that's the pearl in the deal. That's whatever. Mm-hmm. That's the commodity that everybody wants. So I think Roger appreciates that, but I don't think they also understand each other.
Right.
They understand how different they are from one another, and they're friends, and they've been through a lot together, both personally and professionally. So that relationship has always been special, I think.
Yeah. I love the flashback. I don't remember what season it was when they first met.
Yeah.
That breakfast lunch they had together, wasn't it Don was kind of stalking Roger too.
Don was I always, and Roger was always convinced that he discovered Don working at that first store where Don actually, engineered getting a job.
Yeah.
His own way.
We have people on Twitter, sort of a running theme on this is 2015, really? I mean, I remember watching the last episode. It was only 7. It was so short, and then Mad Men will return in 2015. It's like, geez, that sounds like a really long way away.
It is a long way away.
It is. It is.
It is a long way to wait. It's a long time to have to sit on the secrets too.
Yeah.
Although we're used to it by now.
Yeah, but that seems like a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, because there was only 7 this particular, or 8, right?
7.
So that seems, I don't know. There's.
Yeah, it seemed to be over before it started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you guys don't have to worry anymore about Matthew Weiner employing you, so you would.
So you could spill the beans if you wanted to?
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's very secretive about all the details, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, it's that much more entertaining if you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. I read somewhere where, I mean, before each episode, every table read, he would give the same speech.
Truly.
Really? I
Yep.
mean, so he kind of felt like he needed to hammer that point home every time.
92 times. I think we've done 92 episodes, and he calls it his mean speech.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get the mean speech out of the way, and he stands up, and there's a big, he's at the center of this big table, and there are probably, I don't know, 35 to 50 people in the room, maybe give or take, and it's mainly for the the new people that have the day players, and he'll say, okay, you're part of the family now, and the secrecy of what happens is directly related to the commercial value of the show, and don't tell anyone, and don't and then it's funny. It's a funny speech as well. But it's true. I mean, but I get it. I mean, it makes it that much more entertaining if you don't know what's going to happen.
But you get very paranoid and protective, because I would be sort of like leaving a room going, wait a minute, very hyper vigilant all of a sudden, like, where is it? Like, very conscious of where it was at all times.
Of where?
So the script was, like, if you'd worked that day and it was in your, I became very sort of hyper vigilant about it, because you got so nervous. Like you would somehow leave it somewhere, or in a car, or like that. Because
I left a script once.
They shred it, and
Yeah.
You left the script.
I left a script on a vending machine in a location. I think I was directing an episode. I left I was looking at the script. I put it down, and then we finished the scene, and then they started to break down the set, and they put that candy machine on a dolly and rolled it out, and it wasn't until after everybody was gone that I was, where's my script? And it has your name, watermarked all over it.
So
you probably just went and someone just threw it away, but you do get paranoid, because they say we'll shred anything, and they make you think twice about saying anything. And
the next day, that script turned up on eBay for starting bid.
That's exactly what I thought.
But you want it back, right? So it turned out okay.
It turned out all right.
Well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It was great talking to you guys. And 2015.
It'll be here. It's right around the corner.
Just a year away.
And thanks for joining us. For more television coverage, please go to latimes.com. Thank you.